But you gotta invite.
Once I click the permissions, it should be good. Wait. Founders now have every single right in here now. Pioneers, I want to have view channel, connect, manage event. I don't want them to manage events. I want them to send messages.
I see live on YouTube. I don't see any video though.
So to start off, we had a few questions submitted earlier today from some of our pioneers. One of the questions is, what is the difference between scape and timescape? What's in the box? Are the cards and characters all exclusive to timescape? So I'd like to hand off this question to Anthony Mastoris, who is our lead game designer, and I would also like Hannah to chime in after in relation to the characters, and I would love if Chris could cover what is going to be in these boxes. So Anthony, please go ahead and take over.
The difference between Scape and Timescape is that while buying Timescape, it comes with all the miniatures, the components, and the board. The board will also be its own product known as Scape. The reason Scape is such a big deal for us is because it's the platform we've chosen to launch this and all of our future games on, as well as invite independent creators to help build and develop their own games on the platform as well. And that's when we talk about open source. We talk about open source game design and allowing anyone to create games using Scape, and working with us, partnering with us, or you have the option to just publish on your own. But we can get more into that later. Timescape is the boss battle royale. It's the board, it's the miniatures, it's the cards, it's the combat, it's the actual essence. It's the actual full game, including the board.
And then
yeah.
And then Hannah, I think she disconnected. Hannah, would you like to run us a little bit about the characters and how they are unique to Timescape and how we went through developing them and their lore? I think she's having...
She's muted.
And
she disconnected. That's okay. Chris, why don't you cover what's going to be coming in a box of Timescape?
Sure. So it was really important that Timescape be a standalone product. We wanted to make sure that whether you wanted to buy the board or you wanted to buy Timescape, you got everything you needed to play with it and have a good time. So Timescape itself will come with everything you need to play. It's going to have several hundred unique original biome artwork on hexes. You're going to have hexes in all sorts of different configurations, everything from 15 hex pieces to 24 hex pieces to single hex pieces. You'll have water tiles, you'll have all the edges that you need to sort of build your board. I think up to 8 in a box of Timescape, 8 edges. It's going to come with your quest cards. It's going to come with fish cards, loot cards. It's going to come with 2 D20s. It's going to come with 16 combat dice. It will come with about 100 multicolor cubes that you will use to sort of fill in the different buffs and curses and stats and abilities and augments and health on your character cards. It's going to come with dual layer character cards, really satisfying dual layer cardboard pieces that the sort of markers slot right into. It's going to come with sentience cards you need to control the world boss and the monsters. It's going to come with all the miniatures you need, the character miniatures, the monster miniatures, the sentience miniatures. It's going to come with modular wall pieces you can use to sort of block line of sight. It's going to come with a rule book. It's going to come with roads, so buildable hex tiles and terrain. So really excited to start sharing that with you guys. We have a great photo that'll outline all this and cover it. So we'll share that with the community soon. You guys can see everything that's going to be included in the box of Timescape. But very excited to share this with you guys, and I think you're going to be excited too to see what we've packed into a small form factor.
Thanks very much, Chris. And Hannah, we'll give it one more go. It looks like you're muted, but if you can you take us through the character, the way they were designed, kind of the lore behind them, and confirm that they are in fact unique to Timescape?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we have very extensive and immersive lore for Timescape. A lot of character development went into our miniatures. So before we even began sculpting our miniatures, we developed what's called a hero journey for each of our characters. So they have a storyline with an arc. They have a beginning, and they have a kind of narrative to their storylines. And what we did was use those storylines to inform the sculpting of the miniature. So where are they? What's happening in the moment of their sculpt? And we tried to choose what was called the moment of highest drama. So the Baroque moment for our character. So they're in very unique positions. And then the characters themselves, you'll have never seen them before. They're from our own imaginations and our own inspirations from all the lore that we love and all the fantasy and sci-fi and all the different kind of fandoms that inspire us. So they're incredibly unique characters with their own names, histories, and adventures. So that also informed the mechanics for each of the miniatures as well. So for the first theme box, which is called the Shadow of Fear, the sentience or the boss that is part of this themed box is called Fear, and he is kind of controlling and manipulating the timescape. And the characters that enter this scape with the boss are from two different worlds. The first is the Fallen World, and the Fallen World takes place after kind of Armageddon on Earth. And legions of hell have kind of entered the Earth, and all human survivors have been forced underground. So there's some characters that are heroes from this world. And our leading character, well, we have a lot of leading characters, but one of our heroic characters is Jake Allen. And he's half demon, half human. And he's a lot of really awesome abilities. Some other characters from his world are Gula. She's the goddess of gluttony. We have Abaddon, who's the scourge of hell. He's a mountable boss. We also have Luxuria, who's a fallen angel. And we have some Legion, who are kind of the henchmen of the demon kind. And then for our second world that enters the timescape, where the meek and the fallen can kind of be battling with each other in the timescape, the meek is a high fantasy realm where a fifth state of matter, known as mana, kind of abounds. So it's a source of magical energy that only a few rare individuals can wield. And so one of our leading characters from this world is Mara the Meek. And she is a all-powerful ice queen who can wield this mana kind of uniquely, and you see that come to play in her character abilities. And some other characters that join her in that world are Roland Rumpus, the Magma Fist, Jokul, a vengeful giant who is also a mountable boss. We have Hod, the hermit fisherman, and Mana Worms. So that's kind of a good overview, I'd say. Nick, do you want me to go into kind of...
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Hannah. And just to summarize, because there is such great detail in our characters and in our worlds that we've created, each of us has had a hand in developing these characters. Everybody here has had the opportunity to bring worlds that they always wanted to bring them to life. So not only are they unique to Timescape, but they're completely unique to us as individuals, and a lot of us are telling stories about our own lives through the lore of these characters that we have lovingly and painstakingly crafted over the last 5 years. And for anyone who's just joining, this is the Adventure Together AMA. Please feel free to add any questions in the chat. Please like and follow. Today you see myself, Nicholas Mastoris, Program Director, Shaper, Chris Torres, who is our lead creative designer. You have Salpigitus, who's Anthony Mastoris, and he is our lead game designer. We have Hannah Rogers, or Hero, who is our lead lore developer and writer, and we have Bob Loki, or Andrew Kwashnik, who is our lead, our wizard. Yeah, he's our wizard tonight, but he's a wizard with IT, and he is one of our development specialists. So next question, which we have from Ninja-san. Along those lines, what does our current tile set look like? We have 1 hex tiles. It looks like we may have a few other multi-hex tiles with different terrain types. They also see trees and objects scattered throughout some of the imagery that we have shared. So, Shaper, why don't you take us through a little bit about what components will be included with Scape, even though I know you covered that in the last question, but more along the lines of, the different sizes of tiles and hexes and things like that we offer.
Sure. Before I jump into that, I actually wanted to just quickly touch on a question that popped up in chat when we were discussing lore. Maybe hand that to Hannah. Well, I can cover it before I jump into biomes. But we'll with the game set, will we get a lore book? And that came from Tales of Valhalla official. So yes, it's not going to be a separate lore book. I think it'll be part of the rule book, but you'll be able to go through the rule book and learn about all the characters, their backstories, and sort of how their backstories have translated to abilities and the way you play with them in the game. So absolutely, lore is super important. We spent a lot of time working on it, and we're going to make sure that's included in something you get with the game. So let me go ahead and jump into biomes then. So Nick, sorry, repeat the question quickly for me. What exactly were they?
So they're really looking at what our current tile set looks like. So I think they want to understand how many biomes we're going to be offering and what type of hot tile and hex configurations we're going to offer.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is obviously one of my favorite parts about the Escape system, and I think one of the things that's going to be most exciting to players. The biomes that we have a ton of them. And I saw Bob in his wizard's hat running to get Escape set. So Bob, if you want, while I'm talking, you can show some of them off. There it is. But we have close to about 70 unique biome artworks that we'll be releasing at Kickstarter. That's a big number. The way in which we went about creating the Escape system empowered us and enabled us to do this. It is something that I think is going to set us apart in a big way to any other modular three-dimensional tabletop system on the market. We want you to be able to build any world you can imagine on your tabletop and to bring that world to life. So we are going to be constantly releasing new biomes and environments and different types of tiles and liquids. We have things from magma, we have ice, we have battlefields with mud and skulls, we have plague swamps. Bob is showing you right now that we have some beautiful hand-illustrated grass in a fantasy forest setting and some koi fish in a pond. There's almost no limit to where we can take this. And the way we think about it is if you look out at the digital space now, you'll see, lots of really, really incredible environmental artists creating, scalable and tileable artwork to bring digital worlds to life. And we thought to ourselves, why can't we take some of that thinking and bring it to the physical tabletop space? So yeah, there's a plethora of biomes. There's 70 unique ones, and there's variations on them as well. So if we have a grass tile, we don't just make one, we'll make 3 variations of each tile that we make, so that when you're placing them and you're orienting them on the board, it creates this really natural and organic look and feel. We never wanted anything to feel like it was a repeating pattern. We wanted these worlds to feel, super, super highly immersive. In terms of tile configuration, so there's a whole bunch of different tile configurations. We know that players like to build in different ways. For me personally, I like single tiles to get really granular and create cool details on, let's say, a mountain or a staircase going up something. But then, of course, you want to build your board fast sometimes and just get right to playing. So we have 24 hex tiles. We will go up to as high as 33, although that's a stretch goal. That's probably the biggest tile we'll ever release. But that 33 hexer, covers a lot of ground. You can fill up a table and a wargaming surface very quickly with a bunch of these 33 hex-based tiles. What else can I say about these? Uniquely, the water tiles, or the liquid tiles, as we like to call them, fit kind of perfectly on top of a single hex. Can be used as topper hexes and can be used as bases if you're building custom things for your sort of own buildings or walls or whatever the community wants to make. And again, all this stuff's open source. So one of the things we're really excited about is releasing the template you would need to create your own environmental artwork. And there's a lot of ways that you can, just at home, go ahead and make your own environments to put on your Escape set. So one thing we're looking into pretty heavily is getting a sticker, an 8x5x11 vinyl die cut sticker that you can print on a home printer using one of our PSD templates, and then go ahead and peel those stickers off and slap them on the top of your hexes, and suddenly you've got your own environment. And so if you're a game designer and you're looking to build your own biomes and your own worlds, that's a really quick and easy way that you can prototype fast. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions, and thank you, Bob, for showing them all off.
Demonstrating.
You're a wizard.
I got an even bigger box of them. I can dump them on the floor if people want that.
Whatever wizards can do, Bob will be impressed. Okay.
I'm unfortunately a plastic wizard.
Okay.
That's what I am.
So
I make plastic appear.
Thank you, Bob. The next question comes from Ninja-san again, kind of in the same vein. So what are you expecting your launch products to be? We've mentioned Scape, Timescape, and how can they increase their collection of Scape products? Can they buy single biome types? And why don't we cover that first? And Salpy, I'll hand that off to you.
Sure. So within the Kickstarter page, you're going to first see Scape, which is a set of 8 edges. I don't have all the numbers in front of me. With a bunch of tiles for you to build a world, to play other games, or just do some, world building. It doesn't come with dice or markers or anything. It's just the base core system of Scape. The next thing you'll see on the tiers is Timescape. That's the full game that comes with all of the hexes, all the dice, all the miniatures, cards, etc. So those are your 2 kind of base tiers. Either you go with Scape or you go with Timescape. The next following tier up, you will see and I don't know what we want to release yet as far as what the tiers look like, but we plan on having a wargaming tier. So we're going to have some tiers set up for Scape to allow you to get just larger hex counts, smaller hex counts, and bundle them together so you can kind of, get the best price for if you want a ton of hexes. And of course, with all the Kickstarters, we'll have a lot of add-ons. So the current packaging setup right now for add-ons and things is 18 hexes as single, or 18 single hexes in a box. So if you wanted like 18 roads, 18 pieces of grass, 18 water, 18 this, the single hexes will come in those. And we'll share more and get more granular in the future with everything that we'll be offering. But you will be able to buy in bits and pieces the size hexes you want with the biomes that you want on them.
So we have a question that came in from Requiet, and thank you, Salpy. How many sets would you say are optimal for a really visceral 3D map? Maybe during the Kickstarter you can have example maps set up using different number of boxes to show just how many hexes someone might want for their specific needs. And I think I can tackle this one. I think that's a great idea, number one, and that's something that Shaper is working really hard on, is showing what comes in one of our Scape packages or in our Timescape package. And I know that a lot of the imagery that has been shared is very, very large. We're working hard to also show what a normal map would look like with your basic tier that you would be getting, as well as the more advanced tiers such as a wargaming tier. So hopefully once we visualize those tiers and we can show them to you, you would understand exactly how many you need to hit a certain threshold based on what you are trying to build. However, we will take that as an amazing idea, because I think it is a really cool idea for us to show different builds and say these are the biomes and the tiers or the amount of base sets that were required to build this map, and that way you get an idea of what you would need to accomplish your goal.
Yeah, and it all depends the type of game you're playing too. It's like I'm playing, Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons on the board. And you don't really need to have that many tiles going vertically. Or if you want, you can play on a cliffside. I mean, that's the cool part, is whatever your imagination and how many tiles you have.
Absolutely.
So
we have another question from Ninja-san. Do you have more characters ready for expansions? And this is an excellent question because we have an excellent answer for it, and I'll hand it over to Hiro because she looks like she wants to tell us all about our many characters.
Yeah, so we have at the minimum at least 40 characters ready to go, ready to enter the Timescape. They belong to 4 different worlds. So we have the Fallen World and the Meek, and then we have 2 other worlds waiting in the wings. I don't know if we should, say what they are, but
I think we can, Hiro. Go ahead. They're on the website, so we're okay.
So we have the Lamplighters race and the She-Kind. So like Himaro was saying earlier, in the beginning, we kind of owned these races, the 4 of us, Himaro, Salpigatus, Shaper, and myself. And and we each had a different vision for the character world that we wanted to build and the characters that live within that world and their playability and what they look like. And so we each had a different vision, and those ended up being those original 4 worlds. So we have a lot of characters for you to explore, and we're always coming up with new ideas for characters.
Yeah, we already
Great.
have an expansion underway that we're going to be sharing with you guys, probably post Kickstarter or during Kickstarter. But when we first set off to build Timescape, I think yep, I see it, Chris. One of the most fun things that we did was everybody got to build their own world, and we did 10 characters each. So all of a sudden we had 40 characters ready to go, and they have their own lore, they have their own art, they have their own combat, they have their own skills and abilities and stats. It's just really, really exciting that we're sitting on these, waiting to share them with the community. And I'll hand it over to Shaper.
Yeah, I just wanted to add as well that this, it's going to be an ongoing development process. I think one of the things that makes us unique as a business is we just have this to focus on right now. This is our core focus. This is what we do. We dream about this. We toil away on this. We optimize this. We improve this constantly. So you can expect to see a lot more from us in the future as well, in addition to these things that we've yet to release but are already ready to go. In addition to that, we can't wait to see the community create their own. I think this is something that we have from the beginning wanted to empower the community to create their own characters and their own lore and their own storylines that they can play out in the Timescape. And so we are super open to working with any community member that has an idea or a vision and wants to work with us to kind of bring that to life in the game. This is very much so an open source and communal project, and we want to make sure that that's something we create a pathway for you guys to do. In addition to that, winners at tournaments or when we start to get competitive with the game will have the opportunity to create their own characters as sort of, let's say, as an award, for winning. We obviously aren't hosting those yet, but when we start to, that's definitely something that I'm keen to see. Is just a wholly player-driven race and species that is made up of legends who have become great at the game. So this is absolutely something we're going to be investing a lot of time and effort into, and we hope gets you guys excited too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Requi had asked, what is the time frame, as much as you can guess, for that second set to be launched after fulfilling the first product? So I don't want to disclose too much information. However, I will say the team has been discussing having that expansion set as a stretch goal as part of the Kickstarter, but the whole idea is sooner than later. We're sitting on this. We're super excited to share it with you. So all of this information is subject to change, but we are going to try and work it in as a Kickstarter stretch goal. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that as well. I mean, the reason we are launching the games the way that we're launching them is accessibility, plain and simple. If you look at lots of projects, sometimes they try and pack too much in a single box and they ask for too much of players. We think that there's an accessible and affordable way to release products, and so we're hoping to release all the different themed games and boxes and characters to you guys in a way that isn't gonna be a burden for you to invest in. So that's kind of why we've broken it up the way we have, and we're always trying to target the best cost we possibly can to bring our products to market in a way that's accessible to everybody. You see a lot of these games out there for hundreds of dollars, and I know not everybody's going to be able to do that. So that's part of the reason, and as a business, we're approaching releasing Timescape in the way that we are. And maybe at some point in the future we'll release a massive one, for those of you that are big fans and want to get everything in one box. But we don't think that's the right way to come to market with our first product.
Completely agree. Yeah. It's just the core of our company. We want everything to be accessible. We don't want anybody to be left out, and that's something that since we started on this journey, that has been at the core of our goals and our values. Okay, so we have another question from Ninja-san. How extreme are you going with this open source philosophy? Commercial use, public resources for 3D printing, or even all-out print and play? I'll hand this over to Salpy and Bob.
Yeah, I'm an open source wizard. Open source everything. Everything we possibly can. Like,
A sorcerer.
You've seen what other people have done in this industry, and they're all about being open source until it's not financially advantageous. All of us here are 100% in open source, whether it be 3D printing or like the Dungeons and Dragons, open rule set. All those things mean so much to all of us, and there's so much stuff in this community as a whole because of people sharing it freely. And for me, that's one of the fundamental reasons I joined this team in the first place. This is one of the first things all the rest of these guys talked about was, we're going to be open source. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because the more stuff we can get out there, you can print these tiles yourselves. Like, do it. Figure out you want to build a cool thing that goes on top of a tile, just do it. We're not going to charge you for it.
Go ahead, Southby, if you want to elaborate a little more.
Yeah, and a big part of what we're driving is that Scape is for independent creators. We will have some parameters, and we will have a license that goes out with the Kickstarter, so you can read through it yourself and see, what our guidelines are to, protect our product and protect our community. But it's not meant for the big retailers. I could say that it's definitely an independent creation tool, and we'll offer a couple avenues of what that looks like. So it could be as simple as you release your own print and play stuff, and maybe that we can get into talk about the app later. It could be that you publish the game yourself and you got a couple copies out and you sold it and say, well, you could play this on the Escape system. Or it could be something as you reach out to us and you want to partner with us, and we can help you publish it. We could help you create your own biomes for it and send you, let's say you put together a pack of 500 games. Well, we could help you put together that order for your biomes for those 500 games. There's a lot that we're exploring with this, and it's definitely, we can't say that it's 100% defined right now, but we realize that the community is where the best games are going to come out of. We're working tirelessly to make the best games we can, and we have 3 games in development and about 3 games in the concept phase. One of the development games being Timescape. So we'll always be pushing out content for the Escape system, but we're definitely counting on the community to find out what that next big genre is, because once the world has the tools, that's when it really shines.
Yeah, and it's definitely be pushing forward for that, the concept of like that open game license sort of thing is we'll have, some rules set up because we're there to protect you guys and protect ourselves. And there's obviously the world of lawyers is always fun on that rabbit hole. And so it's just there is, be able to build what you want to build on our, the system we give you. And I think the community will come up with things that, none of us here could even fathom.
Yeah, I think that just touches back on the core values of us as Adventure Together. We want the community to drive development. We want the community to even drive not only their own development, but our own. We want our development cycle to be very open and very transparent, and we're going to be polling and asking questions and sharing rule books. And it's not just open source in the sense that, hey, anybody can get a hold of this, make their own content, and share it with anyone else who has the Escape system. It's also, we're opening our internal source to all of you and saying, we don't have all the answers. We want to know what the community wants, and we want to get it right because we want to build the best products possible for the community. In the tabletop industry right now, there's a lot of big players, and there's a lot of indie companies, and we're one of those indie companies, but we don't see enough of people necessarily reaching out proactively to the community to say, tell us what you want. Not, I had this idea and I think everyone's going to like it. We want to be more proactive and have ideas not only, brought to us, but also flushed out and work with you and interact with you and help you maybe bring your dreams to life as well. So this is a adventure together, no pun intended. Actually, complete pun intended. So
you bring up another good one there that wasn't mentioned is the rules will also be open source for the games we're going to make.
Absolutely.
Is if you want to make a pull request for real against our rules and make a change and have the community vote on it and etc., that's one of the things we're expecting will happen, because with enough brains at the table, we probably will be able to figure out a better way for a rule to get done. And instead of it being, this concrete rule set you get in the box, it's not. It's an ever-changing thing that changes with how the players want to play the game, and whatever game it might be. And I know that you're going to talk about what Requiet mentioned here in a second too. It's going to go with that. There's a lot of games that we're going to be helping make for Escape, and there's going to be a lot of rules, and there's a lot of really really cool things our community can come up with.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The +4 can stack. In my household, it does. It does. You will draw 4, and you will draw 4, and you will draw 4. You're going to draw 20, and you're going to like it.
So while we're on the open source and other games topic, we had a question from Requiet around our other games that we are working on. So we have talked about Scape Golf. We have teased at another game called Iron and Wine, which was mentioned, in a chat. And the question is, will these products be available as part of the Kickstarter as an add-on pack, PNP files, etc.? What kind of price range for access to those things? So I just want to cover Scape Golf real quick, and then we could talk. I think we don't have much to say about Iron and Wine, but as far as Scape Golf, we are looking to have it as a unlockable add-on as part of the Kickstarter. So if we hit a certain threshold or goal, then Scape Golf will be unlocked, and you will be able to purchase it on top of whether you purchase just a Scape tier, a Timescape tier, or a Wargamer tier. So we will be offering Scape Golf, but we need to hit a certain threshold to make sure that we can develop it and provide it without promising it and then not being able to come through. We want to make sure that everything we are offering, we are able to deliver successfully. Shaper, anything you want to say about Iron and Wine? Just coming soon, eventually?
I mean, I could share a little bit about the story. So something Bob, Loki, and I have in common is a deep love of dwarves. And I think that you can count on Iron and Wine having lots and lots of dwarves, for sure. And, with dwarves comes iron and dragons. But what we're adding to the world of dwarves that I don't think you've seen before is wine. There's going to be a lot of wine. There's going to be a lot of drinking wine, vineyards, and dragons drinking wine. That's all I'll tell you about Iron and Wine. It is it's mostly a resource management game. There's a combat element to it, and effectively you as a player take on one of 4 original dwarf clans in a race to appease the drunk dragon before the other players. It's a great time, and we'll share more about the gameplay soon. But of course, it plays on Scape, and so you can expect every game to be different, and you can play it in all sorts of different types of worlds. But yeah, lots of dwarves.
Love it, love it. And Salpi, you want to talk a little bit about Scape Golf?
Sure. So Scape Golf is a party game dice roller that you set up your course, you set up your layout of how you want to lay out your golf course with a tee box, with a putting green, with trees, with water hazards, with bunkers, with elevation, with and essentially you will pick a dice, whether it's a D20 all the way down to a D4. And upon rolling that, that's going to be those are going to be the clubs you choose from. And upon rolling that is about how far you're going to hit it. You'll also be rolling dice on the side to see the trajectory of your golf ball. And it's a very quick and easy and fun game to just sit down and play a couple of rounds. But what we found more than anything, especially over Gen Con, was people really like building their own golf courses. I had laid out 6 holes on my pool table that you could go from hole to hole to hole to hole and play a whole round of golf essentially. That was actually it's something unique. It's something easy and something you could just lay out and have a quick good time with as many people as you want, because it plays so fast. You can have quite a few people playing at once.
Yeah, it was fun at Gen Con. We saw people sit down and they were like, "Okay, we understand." They understood golf really, really quickly. We liked that. They were in it, they were getting excited, they were having a good time, and then they started messing with rule sets and I remember looking over and Shaper was running it and I think they had a wall in front of the tee box that they had to hit a certain amount just to get over it. They were adding lava tiles so that if the ball fell into the lava tiles, it would get destroyed and add a stroke. They really had a lot of fun with it, and it just speaks to the open source nature not only of Skate but the games that we are building for it and the rule sets that we're building for it. It's not meant to be rigid. This company is not rigid. What we're building is not rigid. It is quality. It is built like a love letter to the community, but it is not rigid. It is meant to have fun with. It is meant to experiment with. It is meant to develop on. Everything about it is just so much fun just to play and mess around on. And I'm getting a little too passionate there, but that's just, it just proves a point to me that you can have as much fun playing a hardcore, really, really in-depth lore and game mechanics game, or you could sit over here and play Scape Golf and add rules and have just as much fun. So depending on the mood you're in or the type of player you are, Scape really has something for everyone. And that's what we want moving forward, so much so. We're going to jump back to Timescape. We have another question from Requiet. Are there any hints as to what kind of tournament play we're looking forward to? Drafting random teams at the event, bringing your own models, preset teams? How do you feel about hobby scores for such things like best painted army? So this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm going to turn it over to Shaper and Salpy, I think. Maybe we could touch on maybe the future of Timescape, potential tournaments, potential events that we host around Timescape.
Yes, you want me to tackle this first?
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure. So I think, one of the most important things about making a game product successful is the community that you're able to build around it. So we know that for players of Timescape to really have fun and get invested at the level that we hope you guys can, the more players that have the game and the more opportunities there are to play it is really important. So I think post Kickstarter, we have one goal and only one goal, and that is to deliver to backers. Nothing else will matter to us. That's going to be our sole focus until that is done and we have fulfilled our promise to the people that believed in us. So that is where our sole focus will be. As soon as that's been completed, we shift our focus to growth. We shift our focus to getting Timescape into the hands of as many players as possible, into the hands of as many retailers as possible, to make it as accessible as possible to the widest audience we possibly can. That is then, I think, the point at which we can start to plan community events and we can start to plan tournaments. Now, more locally, if you're in the tri-state area, we are going to start doing a monthly sort of con at a big game store in Manhattan called Hex & Co., who we have been backing for years now. We absolutely love the facility and the space that they have there. And we're developing a good relationship with the owners. So the plan for us in the short term is to start doing something monthly there where everybody can come out and get together. And then, hopefully working with the community as well, because I know a lot of members of our community have experience hosting tournaments, hosting events, and putting on these things. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and tap into our community and find people in, different regions across the US and potentially Europe and start to work together to put on more events around Timescape. Now, obviously, big conventions are great opportunities. We're going to try and be present at all the largest ones that we possibly can. From Gen Con, we're going to Spiel in just next month. We're going to PAX Unplugged. So we're going to try and make sure we have a presence at all these places, and a competitive sort of tournament scene at these big conventions where the community gets together and gathers is absolutely something we can start to do as early as next year. But I'd say that's kind of how I see it playing out, and just to share with you guys kind of our vision for where we need to focus and when we need to focus there. So I would say probably sometime mid next year is when we'll really lean into heavily making sure there's tournaments available and that you guys can pick up a game of Timescape anywhere, no matter where you live, and play it with some friends. And yeah, there's nothing more fun than hosting an event and a tournament. So as soon as we're able to, kind of shift our focus from our responsibilities and our duties to the community, we're going to get right back to having fun, because that's what that is. That's just a lot of fun to put on tournaments and events. So expect us to be doing a lot of that. And I think that mid next year is probably the time frame in which we will.
Also,
Salpy,
the tournament rules will be open source.
Well, we'll definitely present them at first.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Respond to one piece of it. I would say you could bring your own team, bring your own model, bring your own team. Once you get familiar with different character sets, and once you start, maybe you have 2 of the boxes, and you like some of the characters from one, some of the characters the other, and you think they really match well as far as synergies and skills and what they could do when you're playing. We definitely will encourage people to bring their own. But we'll have stuff available for the people that don't have stuff on them. They could just pick from a pool that we have there and still be able to play.
Yeah.
I'd also add to that because I see you mentioned about best painted armies. Yeah. I mean, there should definitely be hobby scores for best painted armies. I want to see the best painted armies out there. That's one of the things I'm probably most excited about, is to see how other people's takes on the miniatures. So yes, absolutely. We'll make sure we include tons of fun things around different achievements and your own customization. Another thing is, there's our official characters, which of course we'll want you to bring for tournament play mostly. But I think that throughout the process of working with this community on customs, we'll be able to approve some of those for official play as well. And again, we have some great members of the community who have a lot of experience building custom characters. And so we'll make sure that pathway is there so that we can sort of make official some community-driven characters for tournament play.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think tournaments will be really exciting with Timescape. I'm excited to see how we tackle those in the future. Any juicy info on the Scape app? Is it entirely supposed to be for sharing games and community content, or are there other big ideas for this? How do you plan on filtering through community creations and helping people share them? Salpy and Bob, you want to touch on this a little bit? Just some teasers about what we're visualizing for the app? Salpy?
Well, it kind of hits the starting notes. The app's going to take some time to develop, Right now we're focusing on the physical product with the app to follow up. It will start off as a tool for just sharing games and being able to kind of collaborate on rule sets and host cards and print and playables, because that's just kind of like the foundation. That's where we want to start. If I really wanted to go to the big, what we hope it to be in the long run, Bob here is a machine learning engineer, and we would. Yeah, he's a machine.
He's a wizard. You're a wizard, Bob.
We would be interested in taking on some sort of, with the combined rulebooks and anything, the ability for an AI to spit out a rulebook. And using lore, using rules, and kind of see if we can make it to the point where we can pump out a game for you to play that night, that's hasn't been played before. That's like the huge dream. That's the mega thing that eventually we hope the app would turn into. But mostly at the start, it's going to be based around just community, open source feedback, sharing ideas, and collaborating.
Bob, anything you want to add, or you're good?
Oh no, that's pretty much it. At the start, it's going to definitely be the big thing about sharing the rules and communicating about rules, because everyone's going to have opinions about that at the start, and probably forever. Like, that's just one of the things that always comes with a game, especially games that we hope have a long stay with you for the rest of your lives. And so if that's going to be something you're looking for, well, then people like to talk and complain about rules forever. And so, there'll be opinions that people always have, and we need to have a consistent place for that. And we have the Discord here too, but building, an app, a website or an application forum type thing that allows you to actually, see the rule that's in question and, have debates about it. Because nothing's ever set in stone. And so
Shaper, you
I think
wanted to
that's
add
probably
something?
one of the primary focuses.
Oh, sorry, Bob. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Shaper.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that sometimes it's helpful to give you guys like a frame of reference or how to think about what the app is. And I think that if you think of Scape as a system, right, like a GameCube, or I guess in this example, your PC, right, the app effectively will become the source of all your experiences and adventures and everything you play on that PC, right? So in a lot of ways, it's Steam for tabletop games. That's what it is. That's where you can go to get all the latest experiences, all the next greatest thing to sit down and play on your Scape set. And that will be a source of that for the foreseeable future. So whether you're an independent creator and you've got a new game and you want people to play test it, that'll be the best place to upload it. And that's where we're going to try and like really focus our community. And as you know, as a company, every game that we build will be playable on Scape. So this is kind of the place where all those experiences will be hosted. So yeah, in addition to it being a place for you to debate rules and fork rule sets, and to add to that point, there's a lot of great tools you can use today to collaborate on rule sets, but there's nothing that's been built specifically for it. And I think that that's where we are going to shine, is we are going to build something that's specifically designed to help you collaborate on rule sets. And whether that's through voting or governance or upvoting and downvoting, whether it's more like Reddit or more like GitHub, we have a lot of inspirations. And so building that rulebook, that collaborative rulebook tool, I think is going to be one of the most important bits of value that we create with the application.
And just to add
and
on,
to kind of answer.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You want me to?
Go ahead, Bob.
Right. So yeah, to Jason's comment there, it's possible to build applications at scale that are open source. You tend to get some security threats and handfuls of other things that can start popping up. But I will definitely take that to heart. And I will do my best to make the best open source system you can ask for, including the website and etc. But that's a little harder.
Yeah, because another important tool, another last piece I'll add to this is another important thing that the Escape app enables is because we do want print and play and rule sharing and whatnot. If the community really gets behind a game or set of rules or something, we plan to reach out to that creator to help them make their game a reality. We're getting into the publishing space and the manufacturing space. So if the next big game is showing up on the app where tons of people are interacting with it, they want to see an official version, we'll work with that creator and make sure that creator, is heavily rewarded for creating something, the next big game essentially, with a partnership. Not, we're not taking it from him. It's a partnership between us and the creator that made that game. And that would be just, that's another big point about what the app is supposed to do. It's supposed to highlight, stuff, the best games essentially.
And last thing I'm going to say is we have gone on an adventure as a team. All of you are part of that adventure now, but for us to get here, we had to learn a lot. We had to learn a lot about the industry. We had to learn a lot about development. We had to learn a lot about developing rule sets and game mechanics. And we want to share our knowledge, and we want to build an application that allows you to share your knowledge. So this is not just a source of intake where it's like, I am going to upload my game so that Scape has it. No, we want it to be, I'm going to go to the Scape app so that I can learn about a question that I had or learn about a resource that is available to me that will make my process easier. So this is not just an app that takes, it should also be an app that gives back to the community and shares the knowledge and allows for live feedback. And hopefully also today as a tabletop community, what we need to do to test our games is we need to go to cons, and people have to play test at cons, and then people have to give us feedback, and we have to make changes. We see incredible power in releasing, let's say as a maker or a developer or just an individual, releasing our ideas to the community and getting that feedback in real time, or getting that feedback a few days later because the individual somebody else was able to print and play your game at home and say, well, I liked this, but I didn't like this, and here's why. So this is a bridge that will also connect the tabletop industry in a way that we haven't seen it done yet. And Shaper, we're going to jump to the next question, which is, for which location for Hex & Co. are you planning on those meetups? How much advance notice are you thinking of giving? And will it be the regular cost of entry, or will there be an extra charge?
Yeah, great question. So Hex & Co. just launched and opened a new location right in Union Square, smack dab in the heart of bustling Manhattan and 2 blocks away from the Strand bookstore. So it is an amazing, beautiful location. Salpicus and I went and visited. It's got tons of space. We have a table there that we donated to them with Adventure Together on it. So we'll be hosting it there, most likely. The cost of entry will be covered by us. I don't see why anyone coming out to play with us should have to pay anything. So we'll work with Hex & Co. to make sure that it's entry for free. In terms of how often in advance you'll know, I mean, probably 15 days would be, I think, adequate for most people to find their way out there. But generally speaking, once we get like a good cadence, it'll probably just end up being, the 15th of every month or something like that. So we'll work hard, and maybe we'll let the community vote to tell us when they think the best day of each month is to host something like this, especially for those in the local area. But yeah, I expect to just come out and have a good time. That's the plan. We'll take care of the hard bits, and we'll cover the cost. It's got a full cafe there, drinks, food, and again, it's right in the middle of Manhattan, so anything you could ever want or need is nearby. Really excited about starting to host these.
Excellent. And we have 4 minutes left on this call today. I just want to give the opportunity for each of the team members to share any updates, any thoughts that they would like to with the community. I'll start. So we have some really exciting news. We have a handful of YouTube streamers that we are now collaborating with. So they have received copies of Scape and Timescape. They will be playing them. They will be giving us feedback, and we hope to see some really, really positive reviews come out from them in the next few weeks, and we'll 100% be announcing when those videos are released so this community can go, show them love, and really get behind them, because they are part of the key for making this a successful Kickstarter and making this a successful product. Bob, anything you want to share? You could just nod your head no if not.
No, I'm good.
Salpy?
Right now, no. We're just chucking away. We got a lot of stuff we still need to show and talk about. And then we might be revealing quite a few things even by next week. So stay tuned.
Hero, anything? Okay. Shaper?
Yes, the Adventure Together team will be at Spiel Essen in Germany on October 5th through the 8th. Come by and check out our booth. We are in Hall 4. I will be sharing that with the community. It's the largest board game convention in the world, and we couldn't be more thrilled to be there. We are going to be dropping some outrageously big news on October 5th. So check, just hold on to your seats for that, because I hope you guys are going to be as excited as I am to finally reveal it. I'm sure some of you guys can guess at what it might be based upon the questions I've been refusing to answer in our Discord. We will also be on Tales of Valhalla official podcast on October 1st, so you can check out the whole team there. We are super, super excited to meet with them. Thank you so much for inviting us on to the pod. Pumped for that. And, hopefully you've got some hard-hitting questions that nobody's asked us yet, so we can make that a really exciting episode for you and for us. I don't think I have anything else to add after that, but stay tuned for Spiel, because it's big.
Yeah, nothing but positive news on the horizon. Like Salpy and Shaper said, we have a lot that we are just sitting on, waiting to show you. But when all of the planets align, we shall show you. And big news is coming your way. We have nothing but hard work going on in the background. And I want to thank every single one of you who joined us for the second Adventure Together AMA tonight. We will be doing these every Tuesday moving forward, and we're going to slightly change the format. We expect eventually we'll have answered all the questions, so this will change maybe from an AMA to more of an update session combined with an AMA, but of course, the main goal we have is to interact with the community, show the transparency of what we're working on. We didn't get to all of our questions tonight, but don't worry, I have them saved. We will use them next week. And I'd really just want to thank you on behalf of Adventure Together for joining the adventure. And we look forward to talking with each and every one of you very, very soon and sharing amazing news which is coming. Thank you, everyone. Have an excellent night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Great night, guys.
Thank you. Bye.